And it gives us that little ding do. Okay, so we're recording. Welcome, Aya. So I have the pleasure of interviewing Aya Natan today. Am I saying your last name right? I know your first name very well.
Perfect.
Is that proper? Perfect. Aya Natan. Such a beautiful, beautiful name for a beautiful woman who I had the pleasure to meet roughly 6 months ago, probably more than that by now, probably about 8 months ago. When I was living near the Tamarindo area, I met Aya at the farmer's market at Tamarindo. It was immediately drawn to her. I don't think people cross our paths just by accident. And so we made an immediate connection. And I have had the pleasure when I was living there to visit her many times and buy her products, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Yes, I have many of them. They are incredible. But I'm going to let Aya introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her background, like from the beginning, like where you were born, Aya, if you can share that with us. And then like how all of the places that you've lived, because you've lived all over the world, which is exciting for a lot of our listeners. And then what brought you here to Costa Rica?
Thank you for having me here today. Thank you for creating this space. And my story begins in Israel. I was born and raised in Israel in a kibbutz in the up north near the Sea of Galilee, which is called the Kinneret. Very beautiful. It's called the Jordan Valley. It's on the border of Jordan. It's a really, really hot place. And the kibbutz is a very safe way to grow up for children, especially back then when we were, no TV, nothing, it was so pure and a lot of like just really beautiful, safe kind of environment where just playing all day and a lot of friends, a lot of like social life was really good. And my parents are really amazing people, like, had a very healthy kind of childhood. I have 3 brothers, really all very beautiful men who I adore and love. And I spent the first 24 years of my life in Israel with a short, from the age of 10 to 12, I went and lived in Melbourne with my family. And that's kind of where I got the foundation of the English as well. And but when I was 24, I left Israel. I went to traveling. I went to India. I was in India for a couple of months, kind of ran out of money. And so I was just thinking where I could quickly make more money and keep traveling, because I didn't want to go back to Israel. I wanted to travel. So I went from India, I found out that you can go work in Japan. And so after a couple of months.
What were you doing when you say working? What was your work then? What did you do when you were in India?
In India, traveling.
Just traveling.
Yeah.
Just absorbing. It's enough just to absorb India. I know, having been there myself, it's enough just to be there.
Yeah, saw beautiful places, just traveled, met people. And so there I found this woman who told me that I could go work in Japan. So I decided to try it out, and I went to Japan and I started, I found these people who work and this is like a long time ago, but there was this business run by Israelis, these street shops where they sell jewelry in the streets, imported very cheap from countries around Japan and then sold very expensive. And it was more like an experience for the Japanese people to talk with a foreigner. Back then there weren't too many foreigners there. So standing in the middle of the street, beautiful jewelry, and all the people see me and they just want to talk to me. So the ones who have enough courage, they come and they buy stuff and then they communicate, and it's an adventure for them. So it's
Most certainly, it would be for me.
yeah, but that was
Actually, for them, it's pretty much the same adventure I was experiencing with you at the farmer's market in Tamarindo.
right. Yeah, that was very interesting. It was very interesting to, you know, get to know Japan and the Japanese culture. And then what happened is that I met a man there, and we married. We fell in love. We married, and we had two children. So I was there in Japan for maybe 5 years, 5.5 years, something like that. We married. We had my first daughter. She's 17 today, and then I got pregnant the
Wow.
second.
Oh, happy birthday. Today is her birthday. Wow.
Yeah, and then my second son, when I was pregnant, then we decided to move to Canada around that time. My brother was living in Canada,
So
so
rewinding just a little bit. Oh, okay. Did you speak Japanese before you moved to Japan?
no, no, I didn't speak any, and just having to work in the street like that, I had to communicate with people. Back then, again, I haven't been to Japan since, so I don't know what it's like today, but back then, nobody really spoke English. In the street, you could like, I kept asking, like, I learned how to ask, do you speak English? And I kept asking until at some point I stopped asking because nobody spoke English. So I kind of learned the tricks to how to sell. Like I learned like street selling language. But then when I met my first husband, he didn't speak much English at all. And I knew how to sell stuff in the street. I didn't know how to communicate like full on conversations. But love is love, and language is not a barrier.
Love is the
So
universal language.
yeah, we bought dictionaries, and I started learning more in depth. And yeah, I speak Japanese. At some point I learned it, and
Cutting
so
out a
it's
little bit. I might lose you. Okay, but my internet is unstable. I'm getting that message, but okay, I think we're back. Fingers crossed.
yeah, okay. So yeah, Japanese is my third language. And then at some point, yeah, we decided to, my brother was living in Canada, and we decided, he invited us to come work with him and live with him. And then we did that. Like when I was 7 months pregnant, um, we moved to Canada, to British Columbia.
Oh,
And
beautiful area from everything that I've heard.
so amazing. It was such a beautiful chapter in my life because we lived there. We stayed there for another 5.5 years again. So, uh, my second son was born there, and then shortly after that, actually when he was 3 months old, then his father left. And long story short, that was the end of that relationship, and that's when I went on the path of single motherhood. And yeah, Canada was an amazing chapter. It was a very, very beautiful community, very, very interesting people, and very, very beautiful nature. The nature there was like such good medicine, because I was actually healing. The relationship with the Japanese man was quite abusive, and yeah, there was a lot of healing to do. So the nature of that area was, I, like looking back, I know that was medicine. And I'm very grateful. Lake there, and to, everything, the animals and the snow, and it was like a really safe space for me to heal.
How
And
incredible. And to not have any regrets. This is powerful to hear that that was part of your journey, as painful as it was, right? This is something I think most of us don't understand. We have all these regrets and we just look at it, we put it in this box of, that was horrible and I never want to repeat it or never think about it again, rather than it was part of the journey and part of your learning, right?
Oh yeah, because in that relationship I hit rock bottom. I wasn't myself anymore. Was manipulated, and like a lot of his unresolved issues and my issues, it all mixed together, and it wasn't really working. And but there was a lot of love, a lot of, I believed that we can both change and that we can both create something healthy, but what happened is that there was too much to work and too little tools. I was young, and then it ended up being very abusive, and so I hit rock bottom. But in Canada, once he left, which was quite the miracle, because I didn't think I could ever like separate from him. I didn't think he would let me go. He was very controlling, and so when he left, then I was in a very strong sense of like freedom and opportunity, because I felt like I was inside a jail. So eliminating him from the picture, and then having this like setting, this amazing setting of the Kootenay Lake and the nature and the cedar trees, and it was so healing. And then there was the community as well, because I saw right away, I'm like, wow, there's such strong women here. They're so independent and so in their power, and they're so spiritual. And I'm like, this is your way home. You need to connect with the women and remember your way home, because you were just like these women, just you lost yourself along the way. You just need to find your way back. And so I did that.
An incredible message. Wow. Wow. It's an incredible message for many women, many. And I think I share some pieces of your story as well in my marriage. I almost said first marriage. I've only had one. But yeah, so very young, married very young, and very similar story, but very classic American lifestyle. So, but it's very interesting to hear you talk about the women energy and how this helped to nurture you and heal you, and community, absolutely essential. Yeah.
Yeah. I was very lonely in Japan. I didn't have friends. It was very hard to create genuine relationships, especially in, it's the city, it's Osaka. The differences were so big, and I was very lonely for a long time. And then when I got to Canada, then I'm like, oh, all these women, they're so nice to me. They're welcoming me. This is a community. And so I was like, I don't belong in this rock bottom. This is not my place. And I don't have to stay here anymore. So I, very, like it didn't take too long, because I started out before that relationship. I was a very strong woman, very clear, very sharp, I just kind of lost myself along the way. And so, with the help of the nature, community, family, all of that, then I really spread my wings, and I came out of this like way stronger than what I was, because I understood a lot of things about myself and about how dark life can be and how I don't belong there, so.
Oh, this is such a wonderful story, and so empowering for so many women in particular, but also men. I think men can hear this story as well, to know the strength that you have with all of that you lived through and pushed through. First, to be so independent, to go and live in India, to travel in India, and then move to Japan on your own, is where you don't speak the language. It's really amazing. I mean, really amazing.
That's always been kind of, for me, like the movement and trying new things out and trusting. And, sometimes my daughter says this to me, you have more luck than wisdom. you put yourself sometimes in situations in life where things could have like totally gone.
Oh, we might drop.
You don't
Sometimes it's happening.
and you don't have a, you know, financial
What did she
rescue.
say? Say again. We cut out.
Say again?
So I missed that last sentence. My internet just kind of dipped a little bit. Can you say that again about what your daughter says?
My daughter says to me, you have more luck than brains sometimes. Because she says, how can you put yourself in situations like this? Like when you went to Japan, you didn't have enough money, and what if you wouldn't have found work? She's, you know, she's a Taurus, and I'm a Cancer. I'm about emotion, move with emotions, and she is very grounded. She's logic. So, and knowing my story, and now being an adolescent and having like, you know, really strong thoughts of her own, she sometimes reflects that to me. And it's true, you know, it took a lot of courage to do what I did in my life. And sometimes it was definitely risky, definitely like not the safest thing to do. But I gained wisdom from all these situations. This is how you gain wisdom, because you do see the edge, and you do see how, you know, like you do learn about the relationship between like action and response, and how, you know, it's just a learning process, and I'm not afraid of it. I would rather be in situations that are not the easiest and that are not comfortable, because there's growth and learning. And this is what I've come here to do. I haven't come here to settle and sit comfortably and just watch life go by. You know, I want a big taste of it.
Wow. Wow. That is incredible. And my internet is a little bit iffy, but I caught, you know, most of that. And it's sad because it got a little bit tinny, but the power of your words are right there. It's probably the power of your words that are distracting and disturbing the internet a little bit. Super powerful. I mean, such a powerful story. And you've shared most of this with me, but of course I could hear it again probably 20 more times, because you add little elements here and there, of course, that are just, they're incredible, and people really need to hear this story. No matter.
The thing is that we're at one of the main chapters right now. Like this is where it gets interesting. Because what happened is that my brother was, he lived in Canada around that time, and he invited me to come and live there with my family. But he also invited my other two brothers and my parents. He wanted everybody to leave their life and come live in Canada. And he had a very clear vision of like, we were all kind of creating a life that's comfortable. And that's exactly what, you know, like what I wasn't going to do in my life. And then he saw that. He saw, okay, she's settling there in Japan, and she's married to a man that's not very nice to her. And she thinks she's building a good life, but it's an illusion. Same with my parents. My parents got all like, they weren't doing good anymore where they were. And my big brother, he was in this company, computer worker. He was like, nah, everybody, let's all wake up. So he really forcefully, like very intensively pulled us to all come to Canada, which we all did. All of us moved to Canada. My parents, my brothers, my brother and his wife and kids. And so.
That is so unusual. I mean, that is so incredibly unusual. The family structure is clearly very strong.
Yeah, no. So once we all gathered, then we also started breaking down like belief systems. And we started doing that with plant medicine. We started going on spiritual journeys where we, you know, like either individually or just me and my brother or me and my parents, you know, like we did have one ceremony that was just for the whole family, just the family. But we drank a lot of medicine. We went into ceremony and we yeah, my little brother's a DJ. He's a trance DJ. So we also had like trance parties where we, you know, take medicine or, you know, whatever it is. We used to take LSD and as a family and just dance and really, it brought
Oh
a
my
lot of
goodness.
systems and it really brought
Yeah,
us
so I was just going to ask for those who don't know, yeah, the plant medicine. So what was the first, as a family, what was the first plant medicines that you were drawn to in ceremony? Or was it,
the
or was
first,
it,
I think that the first ceremony we ever did was a peyote ceremony.
okay.
We had a Native American, it's called a half moon altar peyote ceremony. It's a very structured, very beautiful ceremony, and after that, ayahuasca came in. My parents started drinking a lot of ayahuasca, and then we started also doing San Pedro ceremonies, the wachuma. They call it wachuma in Peru. It's the San Pedro cactus, and we started doing that ceremony. We also did the only, like the intentional family only ceremony that we did was with the San Pedro. That was very healing. Yeah, went through some very deep healing
So that
there.
was all, was that while you were, the whole time it was in Canada?
Yeah, Canada. Canada was the platform of like family spiritual transformation. We all did some really powerful work, but on both on an individual side and as a family. Yeah, so then, yeah, and then life happened and we had to leave Canada. And we had to close this chapter. It was it's kind of traumatic. It wasn't a choice. It was very uncomfortable. We had to leave. And so we all left, and back then we were connected to a place in Costa Rica called Pachamama. It's it's like a spiritual community, and my brother, during the winters in Canada, he used to go to Costa Rica, and he used to go to Pachamama and do retreats and do body cleanse and do some spiritual work there. And so we kind of connected with the people there, and the people there used to come to Canada. So we moved to, when we had to leave Canada, then we moved to Pachamama, the whole family. And
it sounds so fitting. Like Pachamama was there to catch you, the whole family. I mean,
yeah, we are super grateful for them. That was a really, like, really, really grateful for all the support that we got from them. I ended up living there for 5 years. I also met my husband. That still, you know, we're together till today. You know, he's the father of my third child, Luca.
Yes, who I've had the pleasure to meet. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been here in Costa Rica for a little bit over 10 years now.
So,
yeah.
So you met your husband at Pachamama? Yeah, okay. So
yeah, he was there. Yeah, I can speak Spanish when I met him, and he doesn't speak English. So
again, how interesting. But love prevails. The universal language always comes through.
So Spanish is my fourth language.
Wow, my goodness. And I have heard you speak it, and it's so fluent. And I've been in Costa Rica, well, 2 years. I'll hit my 2-year mark in October, and I am still a baby. My Spanish is like nada, pretty much nada. Poco. Yeah.
Non-English speaking boyfriend works like magic.
That's what I need to do. Apparently, that's what I need to do. Right now I'm on a farm alone, 40 acres. You know, you couple it with the social distancing and it becomes very hard. Maybe
Yeah.
when things start to open up again, you know, but um, before that, there's always Chatterbug and Duolingo and, you know,
Yeah.
going to the grocery and
Yeah.
try to converse. The people at the grocery stores and the businesses, they want to speak with you because they want to also learn English. So that's, you know, right now I'm kind of hopping from, you know, from people that I can find like that from one to another to another. But
Right.
you're remarkable. 4 languages. Wow. Wow. And so now tell us about your husband and the journey to Cura Sana, because I think he's a part of that, as I
Oh yeah.
recall.
Yeah, he's a big part. So um I'm gonna start at like the pre, you know, like the pre-story. The When I just came to Costa Rica, I went to a really powerful ritual for women called the moon dance, which is where I met an elder who gave me a reading from the Mexica calendar. And she told me in the reading that all she sees in my reading is plants. And I have an amazing connection with plants, and I should be working with plants, and I understand plants. And I had no idea what she was talking about. Clueless. I was like, Abuela, I have no idea what you like. And so it kind of stayed at that. I just left it at that. I didn't even think about it. And 4 years later, I, um, you know, there's a whole story about that, but I'll kind of make it short. What happened is that I was in a really beautiful place in Brazil called Alto Paraíso. And this place is like, well, it's a crystal mountain. It's a very special place. There's so many waterfalls, and it's like a really special place. So, it made sense that this is where, like the experience of channeling started, which basically what the elder told me in the reading was actually true, and I do actually have a connection with plants that I didn't really know about. It's, you know, now looking back at chapter 1 and from being here in chapter whatever it is, 20 whatever, I can see how this was the the books of the Mexica can tap into my soul purpose, which is amazing, but it's true, you know, because now looking back, I know that when what I started doing in Brazil was channeling, was awakening ancient memories. It's what I understand to be a soul purpose. It's something that's already been a part of who I am and wanted to be expressed again in this lifetime. And that's what is channeling, because you know the divine, the great mystery, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, kind of has a master plan where through me, I am supposed to provide something, and the plants are just like so the great mystery kind of makes the plant be my ear be open to plants and hear their messages and hear what they're there to, how they're there to help, and I just make them into medicines. It's an incredible.
I don't like the word just, because you surely do make them into incredible medicines, which, you know, I'm still enjoying because I'm savoring them. Actually, this is empty. The only one I still have that's full is this one. But yeah, you had told your story to the group of 4 ladies who had the pleasure to learn how to infuse some of the non-psychedelic plants, medicinal plants that grow here in Costa Rica, into these, and it's just amazing. So it's not just, to me, it's not just, it's absolutely so profound. Your story
Yeah.
is so.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's a service. What I understood, because when I was starting to channel, I didn't know I was channeling. I just thought I got all interested in plants, and I thought I was just getting excited about learning about plants, where now I know, you know, from the place that I'm at, and after the creation has already happened and I can see in front of me a line of natural medicines that I've made, you know, I made a conscious choice to not go to school for two reasons. One of them was that my main purpose in this cycle is being a mother to my children. There is nothing that brings me more joy and more fulfillment than my children and the connection with them and nourishing them on all levels. So this is my main purpose. So I made when I started channeling, it was really confusing because you're only like kind of receiving a message which feels like a thought, and then you research it, you go online, and then you're like, is that even enough? Is that okay? Can I just make a medicine like that and just, can people ingest it later? A lot of questions come out, a lot of insecurities, kind of like, because you are letting people ingest things. But for me, because I wanted to be responsible, I said, maybe you should go to school. But then going to school would have meant putting the children aside. And I said, there's no way that that's going to happen. I'm not leaving the children. And so I decided that. And then when I spoke to people who did go to school and people who do have their own lines of medicines and people who are, you know, like big characters in the world, like David Wolf, for example, who came across my path. And David Wolf is huge, you know, and all of them said to me, you have all that's necessary. You know, schools weren't always there, but channeling plants, the power of plants has always been there. Just tap into that power and work with it and trust. And just receiving these confirmations from people that I look up to, from people that I admire, I had to work with that, because it also, like, I'm like, okay, I don't want to go to school anyways. So I just kept working with that. And, you know, I had to jump a lot of big hurdles of insecurity and is this a right way to do things? But luckily I had a lot of angels on my path, a lot of people who really guided me and supported me and gave me the missing links of information that I needed. And I'm very blessed, extremely blessed. And so out of all of that, you know, as time went by as well, and I did realize that this is channeling, then I became very devoted. I understood that this is a gift. I've never asked for this to happen. I never said, oh, how I wish to make medicines, how I wish to have a connection with plants. Never asked for this.
Right.
You know, and there's so many people that do ask for this. And, you know, so instead of, you know, like questioning it, I just dove very, very deeply into a state of service, into understanding that this is a gift that I received. And if I am grateful and honoring of that gift, and if I show up in the best way that I can, this is the conversation that I have with creation. Then creation sees me and says, wow, she's manifesting so beautifully and powerfully the message she's receiving. And then, you know, then I can go on to another level. I am opening more paths for myself. So there's not been a day where I've kind of like felt tired. I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe I should, you know, never. This is one of my children. Cura Sana is definitely.
You're on the right path.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting because as you talk, you really had to trust yourself and trust your angels. And the people that you needed the most on your path came forward to assist you just the times that were necessary, right? In order for this to actually to manifest Cura Sana. And tell me, as I recall, when you first told me the story, I think you had said that you were even when you were committed to the plants, there was a point where financially you weren't sure you're going to make it, but then the business vision came to you,
Yeah,
and then also your husband, because he's Costa Rican.
you're right. You're right. He's a big link in this. Like he's also like the I think that him being a part of my life was also one of the reasons that the channeling out actually started, is because I had someone by my side who can support me, what I get is messages, and I just go, the message feels like inspiration. It's kind of like a coincidences of plants coming on my path, which nothing is coincidence. And the plant was everything like was organized so beautifully for me to meet this plant. And but still my knowledge of actually, especially in the beginning, of my actual knowledge of plants was still like ancient memories, and I had to unfold all of this. My husband, his knowledge of the Costa Rican nature is amazing. Like he can take you on a nature walk, and like really, I always feel like when he looks at nature, which is actually the indigenous way, that everything is his cousins. They're not even trees. It's like he knows them, and like he would know his cousin, which he has. Like his mother has 12 brothers and sisters, so his village is full of cousins, right? And so just like, oh, like there's another cousin and there's another cousin, and he's the son of this auntie, and I feel like the trees are the same for him. Like he looks at a tree and he's like, oh yeah, that's my cousin, and he says a name. And so when I had these plants come and I started like feeling the inspiration and the desire to investigate into that plant, he was the one who would actually point me to like be able to go into the jungle and get that plant for me, which I couldn't do. For me, I still wasn't able to recognize and differentiate.
And now, of course, you can.
Yeah, now it's different. I still need him though. I still like, if I go into nature, still like I'm in my diapers in comparison to him. He's like a super wise elder when it comes to plants for me, like the way I perceive him. And yeah.
Such an incredible story. I'm so glad we're recording this, because then I can listen to it again and again and again. There's a little bit, unfortunately, we've got a little bit of internet, but the message is coming through very strong. And especially I'm noticing like the really important parts are like this audio is perfect, and it's streaming really, really well. But yeah, so tell us about the Cura Sana products. Cura Sana is not just, you don't have to go to the farmer's market, because sadly now the farmer's markets have been closed because of the pandemic. A lot of the businesses are still closed here in Costa Rica. And I understand, especially where you are, it's even different though. I'm 7 hours south of you now. And I was just reading the embassy report yesterday that in the north, they're seeing their second resurgence of COVID. And so things are kind of still locked down. Is that true?
Yeah, Tamarindo is basically a ghost town, pretty much. There's nothing, almost nothing.
So your farmer's market booth isn't open, so you can't just go to the farmer's market like I used to do. It was so convenient for me. But what about my friends in the US? I know they would love to get their hands on. And Aya does more than just, these are consumables, but she also has face products, and well, you tell what they are. It's incredible, like facial products. And I got to learn to make some of these things with her in her workshop in her home. Balms, like lip balms and scented aromatherapy balms. And so your business is online as well, right? It's not just, you weren't just depending on the farmer's market, of course.
Well, I've had an Etsy shop since 2015, actually. I've had an Etsy shop. It's that's really great, because a lot of people come and meet me at the market, and then they reorder online. So there's that. And I've also actually lately partnered up with this really beautiful American couple who have a warehouse in the States. And so at some point, pretty soon, there's going to be a shipment going out to the States, the warehouse where, yeah, that's a very positive turn.
Fantastic. So that's really good to know.
Yeah, so
that's huge. That's very significant.
Yeah,
so
I
you'll
think
keep us up to speed on where folks.
You can curasana.shop, I think. Yeah, I can confirm that, but pretty sure that it's curasana.shop.
Yeah, so Cura Sana. Okay. And now, of course, I'll put this in the notes with the podcast. I'll put all the information of how they can connect with you and purchase products, all the different ways. For me, it's the best because I got to do it live. I feel so privileged.
Yeah.
But what also is great is to hear you talk about your background, to hear all of the obstacles that have come across your path, and you have still you just push through them, and you shine more radiantly than anyone I know. And so you also have healing workshops that you do. You've done them live. You were doing retreats when I was in Tamarindo. At the time, unfortunately, I was so busy trying to find my property, building and maintaining my online presence with my yoga and body rolling students in the States. That, of course, I didn't make it to Nosara, to your retreat, sadly. I think you had a 4-day retreat, as I recall, that happened last November. So tell us a little bit about that, some of the healing work that you do. And very personally, Aya has, like a lot of us that are in the healing works, moved her work online so that it's not just, oh, we want you to come to Costa Rica. We definitely want you to come to Costa Rica. You can still find her and find her upcoming course through that she teaches through Zoom as well. So tell us a little bit about that, your positivity course and other offerings.
Well, I have been doing, I think probably since that moment, where if we can go back in the story to that place where I rose like a phoenix from that dark place that I was, that the rock bottom that I hit. From there, I made like this really powerful decision, very conscious decision to empower myself. And that process of empowerment was so beautiful, and so it's such a significant part of my being, that rising. And since then, I've been doing a lot of work with women, the circle, the moon dance that I talked about. That's a circle for women from all over the world, and it's guided by the indigenous elders. And then I did women's circles, just like new moon circles, full moon circles, song circles. I've done so much work with empowering the feminine. And at some point I really felt the confidence and the calling to hold space for women, for empowerment, just women empowerment. So I ran a few retreats called Open Heart Council. Just a lot of really beautiful work with the inner child and with the moon blood, our monthly period. Like, I've learned so much about the power of that blood and how this is a coming home for us women to remember what the power of this blood actually is. And so we did a lot of work with that, a lot of altar building and understanding the power of you holding an altar. Self-care, a lot of work with self-care as well. And so I did a few of these retreats, which were phenomenal. You can just imagine, in this amazing setting of Costa Rica, by the ocean, so much potential to create really deep, grounded healing. So those were the retreats. And then and then I did the recent one, and starting actually next week, is a course in positivity. This one kind of
I want people to hear about
of the situation right now. well, in between the open heart council and the one that I'm running right now, there was the wonderful retreat, which that one really also carved the way, because the wonderful retreat was all about positivity, and we did some really good feminine empowerment work, but what came up very strong is positivity. And what was reflected there too is how I suddenly realized what a superpower I have. Like that anything that is thrown at me, I'll somehow like do an alchemy around it and shift it into positive. And so this is, and especially around this time, I'm like, oh, let me just need to connect.
No problem.
No, it's okay. There, so
there we go.
So yeah, so then I decided that maybe around this time a lot of people could use like a boost of positivity in their lives, and so I opened
Absolutely. So
so I opened a 3-week course that's bi-weekly, like we meet twice a week. One of the calls is a group meeting, and one of the calls is a private one-on-one session with me, and again we go into a journey of understanding. With it's made out of 3 parts. First part, we really learn to understand how we express ourselves. Our verbal expression has so much power on our life, and to really break that down and see, like, you got to be there, you got to take the course, but it's really breaking down how we talk to ourselves inside the mind, and what choice of words do we have. And once you learn how to shift that, that's changed my life, that understanding of like the way I verbally express myself. What words do I choose to put out there? Everything is a spell. Everything has power, and everything manifests. And if you look at it like that, then you really choose your words well. So that's the foundation for me for positivity, is really understanding your own expression verbally. Then it's going into the inner child, which she is the source of, all of your healing. Is if you want to have a good life, you have got to have a good relationship with your inner child, acknowledging her, understanding when it is that she is expressing herself, because she's very needy, just like any child. Children need us. And so acknowledging that and turning inward and saying, what does my inner child need? When you're angry, this is your inner child having a tantrum, and just like, if your child is having a tantrum, you can either get super mad at them, or you can just hold space for them and listen to them and hug them and let them take it all out, and then offer them some water. It's the same thing with the inner child. So that's another like big part of how we show up. If we show up in life as victims and negative and afraid or incapable, then the opposite of that is positivity for me. And the root of that is your inner child and your relationship.
Obviously, you emulate that beautifully, and you have to have the experience in order to be able to teach it like you do.
Yeah, and then the third part, it's a 3-week course. So the third part is the like rituals. I call it, the title is rituals, and what it means is just everything is a ritual. Everything. You're opening your eyes in the morning is a ritual. And what you choose to what you kind of train your mind, or training is a very synthetic word in comparison to what it is. How you kind of reprogram yourself and teach yourself how to see. For me, when I open my eyes in the morning, I kind of trained myself. It was very easy, but that's just me. And when I see light, then I get excited. I'm happy because I can see light, because light is everybody's like, oh, get enlightened, look at the light, go towards the light, you know, like light, light, light. I'm like, well, that's the first thing that happens to me in the morning. I see light. So the acknowledgement of it and making it into a ritual and saying like the first breath, the first light, like, you know, just, I almost have like a party going on inside of myself. It's like you turn on the light and everything.
That's so great. That's so great.
Another day.
This is what, you know what? This is why I connected to you, because it was like, I'll have what she's having because she's having a good time. And it's not just because we're here in Costa Rica. That is helpful, but clearly it's not just because of that. Like you do have the party going on all the time. Who doesn't want that? And so it's just so exciting. I mean, I feel like just talking to you, I'm so excited for your upcoming course, and it's starting next week, right? It's already June 10th. It starts in 6 days, correct?
Yeah. We're all full though. This is, you know, I feel like here in this interview is maybe a seed planting for more people. I know that the number that I took on for this first course is 6 people, just to really like have it all very comfortable for me so that I don't fill up my week again. You know, it's all evolving around the children. So as long as I can say to the children that I have 2 working days, one where I do the call and one where I meet the people, then I think that 6 people, and we're almost there. We're actually the 5th person joined yesterday.
I was just going to ask that question.
So, but
there's only one spot left.
What's that?
There's only one spot left. But I'm assuming and hoping that you will be teaching this again and all of your other healing work. That's first. And second of all, I had this conversation about the Socrates Academy. So I'm looping your work, both your online work and ultimately the Cura Sana products in with the Socrates Center. When retreats are up and running, I hope that you will do the honor and come down and offer retreats, although it's 7 hours, I know from you. But offering live retreats at the center would be so fantastic. But in the meantime, it's so great because people can be taking your workshops online. And, you know, for the silver lining in the COVID is that now you know, your offerings are not just here, but I do understand that you have to restrict them, you know, based on numbers, because it's a lot of attention to be given to each individual for this positivity course. So one more person signs up, the lucky person has to get in there, but you will be hopefully running the course again.
This is the intention to that's, you know, I planned to first see the retreat. I ran 3 of them because it was a really good seed, and, you know, I felt like putting my energy there, and same here. Most of what I do is you know, like, don't get me wrong, I fail epically many times. I do things that don't work out, and some of my medicines are not, you know, like I've tried making medicines that didn't work, that weren't right. I did a lot of things in my life that I failed, and but I feel like I don't care. I don't mind. I don't mind succeeding, and I don't mind failing. They're both. It's just like this is exactly the kind of energy that I try to create in my life, is that there's day and then there's night. Same planet, same person, same. It's just there will be always day and there will be always night. There will always be success and there will always be failure. None of them, just like you can't say days are awesome, nights are horrible. Day's day and night is night. That's all they are. And same, you know, so but my hope, you know, so, you know, like, women already signed up, so it seems to be successful, but we have to really go through it and see. I have a good feeling about it. I'm pretty confident, but you know.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah,
There's no doubt in my mind.
we'll
It's
continue
going to
with
be
it.
powerful. Everything that you do is powerful.
And it's really nourishes everyone and everyone comes out happy, then I'll for sure want to do another one and make it available for more people.
Absolutely, because I think when this podcast launches, you're going to get a lot more interest, I suspect, at least if I do my job. And so if I can encourage you to do that, because I'm afraid that people are going to say, well, you told us about this, Laura, but there's only one spot. So,
yeah.
And it's also because it's coming up so soon that we want to be able to offer people time, just putting it out there, right? It's seeding it in the universe that there will be another course coming following this one sometime, so people can think about it. How does the one lucky person find you to register? Do you have, is it the website or?
For the website for the course, yeah.
Okay. And that is your website?
No, it's just a Wix website that I made for this course. I can send you the link.
Okay. Yes, which I have. I do have that, so I will attach the link to this podcast. And then they just contact you directly from there, and they can pay you by PayPal or?
Yeah. PayPal always works. Just go to the website, really see, look at, you can learn all the information about what this course means, what it's like, what it's all about. And then there's ways to connect with me and ask.
It's really well laid out.
Yeah.
And what is the cost of the course?
This one is $292.
Wow, that is for what you're getting or what you're giving. That is like, that's very minimal. So
it is.
It's not hard to see that you're filling the spots quickly. Only one spot, but again, hopefully you do. If I can encourage you, you have to do this again in the future. It will be really, really fantastic. Because if once this recording gets out, I'm sure there will be a lot of folks interested and excited.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd love to.
Fantastic. Well, let's see. I think we've covered all, if not more, than the questions that I had for you.
I think.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, maybe that question about the vision of Cura Sana, that one's an important piece. So I can talk a little bit.
Can you say again? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's cutting out a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So the vision of Cura Sana? Yeah.
Which just kind of links everything all together. I think that we've spoken about a lot of like the what Cura Sana is, but so Cura Sana has two parts. It has the medicines and it has the lotions, and the medicines they're all made with wild plants. They're all local. They're all from the jungle of Costa Rica, and they're mostly for strengthening the immune system and for healing. And then the lotions, they are also all locally. I use local products. I use oils from local farms, but the lotions have essential oils in them, and there's a lot of intention also put into the lotions. Of course, anything to do with Cura Sana. When I make my products, then I would never approach making the products when I'm angry. Never approach the products when I don't have positive thoughts. and when I'm not uplifted, which, you know, like sometimes can be tricky. You gotta work, you gotta do stuff. But this is my devotion. It's just like, you know, you take responsibility for your emotions before you approach your child. It's the same thing with Cura Sana. I take responsibility for my emotions. I take a deep breath. I purify myself, and I put on some high vibrational spiritual talks or high vibrational like music, and just dive into like my higher self and let that create. So this is, you know, so many people come and try my products and say, wow, these are the best products I've ever come across, medicines and the lotions. And I'm like, that, I mean, I understand that, because the amount of good energy that's put into this, and this is something that's, you know, like the source that's bringing it to you is the divine. No, and so with infused with all the positivity that I put into it and all the love that I put into it, I literally, you need to understand, I make the product, the face lotions, and I whisper everything that I want to be absorbed into a woman's face. You know, I'm like, all of this is going to be absorbed into women's skin, their third eye, their temple. You know, this is huge for me. I don't take it lightly. This is access. So I infuse it with my good energy. You know, I give it everything that I have. I whisper to it, you are beautiful. You deserve to take care of yourself. You're stunning. You're full of light, you know? And then women put it on and they're like, oh my God, this is the best lotion I've ever used. I'm like, because it's full of love and good ingredients.
Your moringa oil. I can feel that in your moringa oil. And I know that you taught us that at the workshop or whatever, whether it's the medicines that you're drinking or the lotions you're putting on, that you do this with your products. That is so unique. I mean, you think about that compared to, say, you know, not to name any product names, but the large cosmetic companies, they're not doing that. They're not even handmade, right? They're
Machines haven't learned how to whisper magic into products yet. Maybe someday.
There's no compassion.
Yeah.
Really significant. A very important part of your story.
Yeah, and the essential oils that I use a lot of frankincense. Frankincense is the ancient secret to raising the frequency. So frankincense is in is in every one of my products. So
wow.
So
oh
then,
my goodness. No, I know you have said that, and I've forgotten about that, but that's really incredible.
So the vision, the vision of Cura Sana, the vision that is coming through me, and which is a part of my essence, is to really uplift and bring to people healing on all levels, healing on a physical level, on a spiritual level, on a mental and emotional level. And you really see that, you can testify that this is what the products are all about. They're not going to only work on your body. They're going to take care of a lot more than that. And this is what's called new paradigm. My products are affordable. I don't overprice anything. Everything is made with angel numbers. Everything is 11, 22, 33, 44, because these numbers hold.
I've forgotten about that as well. So much.
So everything, colors, labels, all of it has meaning. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's absolutely a new, it's a concept that nobody really, I think, thinks about. To pull all of these things together in a product, you can feel the love when you bring it home. And for me, it changed like even my whole environment, just having your products in my house, because I have the lotions in the bathroom and I have the medicines in the kitchen. And so, the energy, you can feel it infusing your whole environment. So that's so significant and so unique. I don't know of anybody else that manufactures that way at all.
There's some witches on this globe that work. And that's exactly where I've also, I had really good teachers. I had Adia and Katie, like really powerful women that have guided me a lot on my path. And Monica, like women who do this, like who I've watched and I've learned from them. It was really easy for me to understand these concepts because they are a part of my essence, and they are a part of what I receive from the directions that I receive from the divine. So, but having these women around me who I've seen how they infuse everything with uh, their good essence and their knowing. This is what, this is where we can understand this is witchcraft. Witchcraft is a very powerful energy, and the connotation for witchcraft with anything negative is old paradigm. This is something that we're waking up from. Witches have always existed and will always exist. Witches are a force, are an energy of we are the rainbow. We are the connection between the seen and the unseen realm, which is everything that I described about the medicines and the lotions right now. A woman takes my jar of lotion and she doesn't see all the good energy that was put into it, all the intention and the love, and she just sees a product. It's the seen, but I've bridged the unseen realm into that product for her. And then what she's receiving is witchcraft. And please let anybody who questions the term witchcraft, if you've heard all of this interview, then now you can open to yourself like a new way of understanding that witchcraft is an ancient, pure, powerful energy that has always existed on this earth. And I'm very honored and proud to be holding that kind of energy in this life.
It's so great that we are at a time on the planet where we are starting to understand that and realize that, and beyond that, embrace it, right? And you are right at the forefront of that. And to me, when I see you, when I first met you, it's like I see all these lifetimes that you must have lived in the past to get here. And it must be, in some regards, if you could look at your past life and talk to the person many, many lifetimes ago and say, look, we're doing it. We're back and we're doing it. Like you said, it's always existed. It always will exist. And it's a shame that it has such negative, has had such negative connotation. I do really firmly believe that it's really coming forward now with much of what's happening around the planet. There's this upheaval everywhere. And it's because the light is trying to emerge from amidst the darkness that has been suppressing it for so long. And you can't suppress it. You cannot suppress it. It's pouring rain right now. It's absolutely pouring rain. I'm looking out at really dark clouds, but look, and you see the light coming through my window here. It's an example, a direct example of what I'm talking about. And your products are very representative of that, with this light emerging through the darkness. So people are going to feel that. And it's so great because they've heard it here, and new customers will have heard this. And when they get your product, they don't know it firsthand.
Yeah.
So fantastic. Oh my goodness. So right now they can order your products on Etsy, but soon you will be distributing in the US. You have friends in the US that are helping you set up.
It's better right now to go on curasana.shop. That would be the best choice, because business is going through this transition, and right now exportation from Costa Rica, because of the situation, is a little bit, we're trying to find our way of exporting right now. Then my partners, who are doing an amazing job, are I think that they would find ways to to navigate through all of the challenges and make packages actually like come to the customers, and once we get all the shipment to the States. So I'd recommend going to curasana.shop.
Okay, fantastic. So Cura Sana, CURASANA.com.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that I spelled it out. And of course, I will put it in the notes for the podcast. This will go up on YouTube as well. So it'll be under in the, you know, in the text underneath, the message underneath the YouTube, so that you can find the products, and also Aya's wonderful, wonderful retreats, online retreats, and hopefully soon live retreats, hopefully at Socrates Center. I'm putting that again out to the universe.
Can't wait. I can't wait to get there. Amazing. Your creation too is super inspiring. I'm so happy to have been there in the, you know, when you were just starting, and to see how it's all growing. And yeah, it really reminds me of myself. I feel like in your creation too, there's so much heart. There's so much like channeling that you're working with, and with knowing and an understanding of what needs to happen, needs to come through, and you're giving it so much attention, treating it like your baby, and it shows. Like I can see it. You've
been a huge inspiration. Thank you. Well, like I said, you are such an inspiration. Whenever I feel like you're one of the most powerful things that you said. Well, there's so many powerful things in this interview, but one thing I really resonates with me, that you have to continue through the failures. You're going to have failures, and to think that you're not going to have failures can create such a chain of negativity and a downward spiral that is easy to go, you know, the inertia going that direction, rather than, okay, that was one failure, but it doesn't mean I stop. It means I continue and, you know, change the approach a little bit.
It's very deeply ingrained in our culture, especially for women, to be afraid to fail, and to be afraid, what will people say about me? What will people, you know, like just all kinds of like, what will happen if I fail? That's not the question. That's we're learning how to shift away from that. That's, if I can give one last message, is it's so important to fail. It's so important to see yourself vulnerable, to see yourself like in this, like everything fell apart. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a very healthy foundation. It's just like fire. When fire hits a forest, then it's destruction. But after that fire, the nutrition of the earth has changed tremendously. And there's so much nutrients from that, you know, like from that fire that's now is seeping deep into the earth, and it's changing the earth. It's making it better. And to see it like that, to honor failure, to honor the fact that to honor your courage, to give yourself that permission to express yourself in a courageous way is so important. And no matter what the consequences are, what's the worst that can happen? That you're going to be judged, you're going to be laughed at, you're going to be called a failure. Then what? You actually went out there and tried something. Now you know it doesn't work. I went through so many of these. I lost money, I lost time, I lost energy, I lost whatever. But it made me stronger. It creates resilience, which you need in this life. If you want to make a change, if you want to make a difference, if you want it to be a better, then you got to see yourself in your, you know, at nighttime as well as daytime. You can't. So yeah, I think
really powerful word. And the analogy of the flames is a really good one. Really a good one.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, such powerful messages. Aya, I'm so inspired. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. I'm so grateful for your time for this interview. And I might bug you for some more, if that's okay, just as we go along, to keep connected with you and to keep people connected through the circles. And you know, as I say, I will be putting your work. My website's still under development. It's very soon. The Academy will be on the front page, which is to have folks like you, to have your work to show, to have access so that people, when they hear this podcast, they don't go directly, you could obviously go directly to your site, but if they can't do it, if they forget, then boom, you also have your face is right there on the Academy as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so very much for your time, and I know you've got kids to get back to. I have horses. I don't know if it's equivalent. It seems to me like it's somewhat equivalent.
Well, no knocks on my door. Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
For now with them, but yeah, they did well this time.
Well, bless you, bless your children and your whole family, and thank you so much for your time. And we will chat again soon.
Thank you so much for reaching out and for creating this space. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for all your good words. Thank you for all your good work. I send infinite blessings to your creation, and know that it will thrive. And you have everything that you need to make your creation thrive, which is focus and good intention, and your heart is 100% there. So there's no doubt that this will flourish. And I send you all to take place.
Your words are so powerful to me, and you are an incredible inspiration. From the moment I met you, I just knew. Goodness for our paths merging. I'm so great. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and then we'll chat with you soon. And of course, I'll deliver this recording to you as well.
Oh, that sounds great. I'd love to hear it.
Awesome. Thank you, Aya.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, love.
Thank you as well. Bye-bye.